I'm Kim, the Abundant Traveler, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I put out laid-back luxury videos inspiring you to get out there and go see the world. If you're a subscriber, thanks so much for stopping back by. This video today is everything that you need to know before you go to Naples, Italy. Italy, not Florida. I'm going to be sharing with you tips, tricks, how to get there, where to stay, where to eat, what to do, and general prices as well. So stay tuned to the end and make sure, if you're new, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get started with a little history about Naples. It was originally called Partenopeo and founded by the Greeks in the 8th to 9th century BC. The Greeks created a new city more inland and called it Neapolis, hence the name Naples. Today, the city is a bustling metropolis of commerce, lots of spas, crazy drivers, and education. It has one of the oldest universities in all of Italy. A couple of interesting facts about the city in general is they have one of the largest ports in the Mediterranean with 6.5 million people coming through the port every year. They also have 7 castles in and around the city, and the most important is pizza was created in the early 1800s for Queen Margherita. We have red, white, and green, which are the colors of the flag, basil, mozzarella, and tomato sauce. You have got to try 1, 2, 3, or 10 pizzas while you're in Naples. So getting into Naples is relatively easy. There is a good-sized international airport, not too big, not as big as Rome or Milan, but it is a great airport and easy access in and out. We flew directly from Newark to Naples, 9 hours, piece of cake to get in. If you're coming in by train, it's relatively easy and only about an hour from the Rome Termini station. If you're gonna drive in Naples and rent a car, well, don't rent a car. Don't drive in Naples. It's relatively easy to get around on foot and with public transportation, so just don't rent a car. Not even going to the Amalfi. Don't rent a car, just don't do it. So the public transportation, they have a wonderful metro system and they're famous for their metro stations. They have beautiful art and architecture in several of the stations, and one of the most famous is at Via Toledo. And they have taxis if you like to take taxis. From the airport, it's about 25 euros from the airport into the main part of town. And there is a bus going from the airport. We took a taxi, and when I was coming through, there were probably 75 to 100 people in line for the bus. So when you arrive in a city for the first time, just take a taxi and just make it easy on yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the weather in Naples. In the summer, it is hot, humid, and over 100 degrees sometimes. And remember, in Europe, even though they have AC in most places, you're not going to find it everywhere. You're not going to necessarily find it in cars, and also the AC tends to not be as powerful as we have here in the US. So just something to note. The winter is when they get most of the rain, and it's only about 10 inches a month from November through March. My recommendation, the best time to go to Naples and the best time to go most places in the world are on the shoulder seasons. So I would come to Naples sort of April, May, and then again late September, early October. Those would be the best times without so many people. Also, the weather is perfect. Naples has a rough reputation. It has had a rough reputation for as long as I can remember. But again, it is a port city, and most port cities throughout the world do have a little bit of a rougher reputation, like Marseille or Malaga, and I'm in love with Malaga, by the way. This city I found to be easy to get around. I didn't have any issues with pickpockets. I found people to be generous and kind and welcoming. I felt safe the entire time I was in Naples. Of course, I did not go into the rougher neighborhoods. It is a city of 3 million people, and just like large cities anywhere, there are going to be pockets of good and bad. So as long as you're staying in and around the tourist areas or the nicer parts of town, then you're not going to have anything to worry about. I absolutely loved Naples, and I recommend people not just doing a day trip and going on. I recommend that you would stay there probably 3 full days. In 3 days, you can get almost everything done that you really need to see in this beautiful city. So now that you're staying 3 days, I have a couple of areas to recommend where you should stay. And also in the description below, I have left several links to wonderful hotels in these particular areas. The first is Chiaia, which is just off of the water. It's a beautiful sort of upscale area, very narrow streets, really nice restaurants, not a whole lot of shopping, but beautiful restaurants and cafes. We went down there a couple of nights and had a wonderful dinner down there. You can go to Via Toledo, which is the main shopping street of all of the name brand shops like Yamame and H&M and those types of things. Off of that, we stayed at a B&B called Partenopeo, which is the original name of Naples, in near the Galleria. So off of Via Toledo, the Galleria, which is sort of a Baroque style shopping area, we stayed on the 5th floor at a beautiful Airbnb, and Stephanie, our hostess, was so kind and generous and helpful to us. You can also stay in the Centro Historico, if I said that correctly, which is the center part of town where you're going to find the subterranean crypts, and you're also going to find lots and lots of tchotchke shopping. It's also where several of the churches are and the piazzas where a lot of the tourists stay. So those three areas are the three main areas I recommend, and they're about a 20-minute drive from the airport. So food in Naples, well, it's the home of pizza, so you have to eat lots and lots of pizza. I'm gluten-free. There are many famous pizza places to eat, but my recommendation, being gluten-free, where I had a true pizza that tasted like a real pizza, was at Pizzeria Veraci, Veraci, off of Via Toledo. I have left a link in the description below to their website. They're also famous for their coffee. Dark, deep, rich, and strong. And they serve coffee, espresso, cafe. They'll serve it with a little glass of water. And what you want to do is you want to drink the water first, and then you have your espresso or your cafe. Also, if you're going to get a cappuccino, make sure you only have a cappuccino in the morning. It is sacrilege to have a cappuccino in the afternoon. Too much milk, too heavy. Along with their pizza, they are also famous for fried pizza, which is a pizza folded over and fried. Not my thing, but you're supposed to have it. They are also known for their sweets and their pastries. There is one gluten-free bakery called Leopardo. They have multiple bakeries, but in one location, they do have a gluten-free bakery. They have beautiful pastries that are fried with sugar on top, with cream on the inside, or with Nutella on the inside. They're also famous for these little hard cake type donuts. They're actually hard, like crunchy hard, with black pepper and almonds. Lots and lots of sweets throughout Naples, and everywhere you turn on every corner, there's a pastry shop. Since Naples is on the coast, you also want to try their seafood. They're known for mussels, for clams, for octopus, and for white fish. Especially swordfish, and they also have the little teeny white Mediterranean fish. They are known for some dishes, fongole, which is the clam pasta. They're also known for acqua pazza, which is crazy water, where they take fish fillets or whole fish, they wrap it in tin foil with olive oil, herbs, and fresh Sorrento cherry tomatoes, and bake it in the oven. Make sure to try the acqua pazza while you're in Naples and in the area. It was so good. I had it 2 or 3 times. My favorite restaurant in Naples was in the area of Chiaia, and it was called Ostra Ciao. I have left a link in the description below because I probably mispronounced it. We had beautiful mussels, beautiful fish, grilled fish. We also had the acqua pazza. It was delicious. Also, while you're in that area, I would recommend that you go to Enoteca Belladonna. Make sure to ask for Eugene and tell him I sent you. They are well educated, have wonderful, wonderful wines from the whole Campania region, from Fiano to Greco di Tufo to Falanghina and Alianicos, as well as some other small wines that you're not going to see in other parts of the city or in the area. And as far as bars go, what do you drink while you're in Naples? Well, of course, besides the wines of Campania, you want to be having Aperol spritzes and limoncello spritzes. One of the best places to try it is near the port, and it is called Barrio Botanico. It is inside an office building with these big, beautiful trees and greenery. It's very hip, very trendy. and it is a great place to go start your evening with an Aperol Spritz. When you're having an Aperol Spritz, do expect that they're gonna bring you some peanuts, possibly some potato chips, and maybe some little crackers as well. If they don't bring it, make sure to ask for olives if they don't provide them, because the green olives in the area are so ridiculously good. Now let's talk a little bit about the shopping in Naples, from the souvenirs that you should buy or you can buy to the nicer items that can be purchased. Well, Italy is known for its linen, and there's plenty of linen. There were beautiful leather goods as well. I bought a gorgeous leather purse there. They are also famous for a little horn. It comes most of the time in red, and it is a horn that you can give to somebody, and that horn is a gift of blessing and for good luck. You can't buy it for yourself. They also have, for tourist souvenirs, a Puccinello, which is the masked man with the big nose, and there's a beautiful story about how life just happens and you gotta smile anyway through it. So those are some of the items to buy. And where are you going to purchase these things? Well, there is a main street through the Centro Historico, and also through the whole city. It's actually splits the city into two parts. It's called Napoli, and that's where you can find a lot of the gifts and treasures when you're in Naples. Oh, one other thing. This area is also famous for its pottery. More on the Amalfi, but you can buy beautiful pottery in the city of Naples as well. So how much do things cost while you're in Naples? You can buy a pizza for 4 or 5 euros, all the way up to 10 or 12 euros, depending on where you are going and what part of town you're in. If you want a coffee, you can buy a espresso or a cafe for €1, €1.50. And make sure when you're going to buy your coffee at a bar that you go to the cashier first, get your ticket, and then go to the bar and get your coffee, or they won't give you a coffee. Meals in general, the nice dinner that we had, we spent about $35 each for 3 courses and a bottle of wine. And something to know about the restaurants in Italy and Naples specifically, if you're going to be sitting down at any of the cafes or restaurants or cafeterias, they are going to put a cover, or a sort of tip charge, I guess, a cover for sitting at the table. One nice thing about being in this part of Italy is tipping is not normal. So when you pay with a credit card, they're not expecting you to tip. There's actually no place for you to tip. So that's something to know, but that cover is always there. Taxis were gonna cost you, going around town, maybe 8 to 10 euros, unless you're going to the airport, which will cost you about 20 to 25. Taking the metro will cost you less than 2, so will taking the bus as well. If you're going to be shopping, you can, of course, the sky's the limit. If you're gonna buy inexpensive things for lunch, you can stop at one of the cafeterias. You can spend 3 euros, 4 euros for a little panini, or you can, the sky's the limit if you want. But Naples is not a hugely expensive city, and I found a lot of my souvenirs, I bought them in Naples instead of, I went on to the Amalfi, and I bought a lot of my souvenirs in Naples instead, because prices were much less expensive. As far as hotels are concerned, my recommendation is stay in a higher quality, safer area of town, so I would spend a little bit more money. I stayed just next to the Galleria, and I spent about $115 a night. That included breakfast. It just depends on what you're looking for and the style of hotel where you would like to be. So what to pack while you're in Naples? Well, if you're going in the summer, pack very lightweight clothes and great walking shoes. Most of the places where I was in Naples, it's not a fancy area, it's not a fancy city, so you can dress relatively casually. If you're gonna go out to a nice restaurant in the evening, yes, if you're a girl, you wanna put on a dress, and probably men wanna put on slacks, lightweight, linen slacks maybe. As you know, throughout most of Europe, men don't wear a lot of shorts, even in the middle of the summer, unless you're at the beach. I recommend maybe bringing a hat for the ladies, but in general, the city is relatively casual. T-shirts, skirts, casual shoes, walking shoes. We walked about 10, 12,000 steps every single day. So make sure you bring very sturdy, great walking shoes. Most of the city is flat right there at the coast, so it's relatively easy walking, but you will be walking a lot. And if you're interested, I have a free packing guide to Naples and the Amalfi coast, which is after I went to Naples, I went to the Amalfi. So you can go to the description below and click the free guide. It is everything that you need to know to pack and everything you're gonna need for an entire trip, whether you're staying for 4 or 5 days or you're staying for 3 or 4 weeks. So description below, click the free guide. So what should you do while you're in Naples? Well, I have an entire video about that, but a couple of the highlights are the Archaeological Museum, which has a lot of artifacts and mosaics from Pompeii and Herculaneum. And I recommend going to both Pompeii and Herculaneum. It's kind of hard to do them both on the same day. Of course, I recommend going and eating pizza. We also took a Vespa tour, and I've left the link in the description below with the tour. It was a lot of fun. They took us up to the castle at the top of the hill, San Telmo, which was a wonderful 360-degree view of the city. It was about 2 hours. That was super fun. And as always, I recommend doing a walking tour the day you arrive in town. Also, I recommend always taking a food tour. Left the link in the description below. The night that you arrive to get your bearings, you've got a tour guide to tell you where to go, what to do, and you get to try all the amazing foods on a walking tour. So those are some of the highlights, but make sure to watch the video that tells you everything that you need to see while you're in Naples. So that sums up my travel guide and everything that you need to know before you go to Naples, Italy. Do take the time and do spend 3 or 4 days in Naples. It's a wonderful city with wonderful people. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kim, the Abundant Traveler, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Hopefully on the Mediterranean very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Say hello.
Hello.